Hey Matrix, today we're going to be doing question 2, the Loci mechanism of the November 2023 past paper. And so basically I'm going to be splitting this question because as you can see question 2 splits into a Loci mechanism and a Loci cam. So I'm going to be splitting it up into the mechanism and the cam in 2 separate videos just in case you're someone, or if you're someone who struggles maybe specifically with a mechanism or specifically with a cam, you don't have to watch both to get to obviously what you need to understand. Okay, so we're going to start off. You can see that we've been given the mechanism question, which is where we're going to start. So it says given a schematic diagram of a mechanism consisting of crank OA, which is this over here, sliding rod AB, which is this over here, horizontal groove FG, which is that over there, and rod DE in vertical position. Okay, the position of center point O on the drawing sheet, so that will obviously be over here. Okay, and it says specifications and motion. The positions of center point O and point D are fixed, so these are obviously non-moving points. Sliding rod AB is pin jointed at A. Okay, guide B slides in groove FG. Okay, rod DE is pin jointed at D. Rod DE slides through B. Okay, as crank OA rotates, guide B slides back and forth in groove FG, causing rod DE to oscillate. Okay, and then it says instructions, draw to scale 1 to 1 the given schematic diagram of the mechanism or drawing of the mechanism. Trace the Loci generated by point C and by point E for one complete rotation of crank OA and show all construction. Okay, so we're going to start off by grabbing our compass. Obviously this is drawn to scale 1 to 1, so we do not have to change any measurements given to us. So we'll have the first point, which will obviously be the circle around point O. So it has a diameter of 68, which means that we will have a radius of 34. Okay, so we've got 34 as our measurement here, and we are neatly going to draw a long line, short line, long line, dash line. Okay. It should all be in light construction, so if you can't see mine, I apologize. I'm going to quickly make it a little bit darker, just so that you guys can obviously see what's going on the board here. Obviously, the camera doesn't always pick up these line weights, so my apologies for that. I'm going to try and make it so that you can see everything. I know it's a bit tedious. Okay, there we go. Then we're obviously going to do the little construction lines going through the circle as well. So we will have a line going through here and a line going through the middle point here as well. So we're going to do that middle point over there. Okay, just like that over there. Then we've got 60 degrees to get OA. So we can take our 60-degree set square and we are going to draw in OA. So that will be from this point to the edge over here. Okay, so we have got point A. Then we have obviously got from this line here a length of 34 to the FG line. So we're going to measure 34, which will be in line with this line here, considering our radius was 34. So we're just going to put that line there. Please make sure it's a dash line. I've just made it a solid line for now. Okay, and then what we're going to do next is we're obviously going to draw up AB here. Okay, so just having a look see from, we've got point C, which they haven't given us on the board. So let me just think about this so that I can get it done correctly. We've got FG. We need to add in B. Okay, so from A going all the way through to B, there will be 124. So you're just going to move your ruler from this point until you reach the 124 point, which will be at this point here. Okay, once you've got that point, you can draw it in like this over here. Okay, I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. My line's a bit skew. There we go. Okay, then we've got DE. So we're going to draw that point through B. So if we've got B here, then we need to put in D and E. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by measuring. So we've got 62 and 25. So we're going to start off with our measurements here. We've got 25 as well as 62. Okay, that's going to be quite high up. So we're going to extend our line going through this, down like that as well. Okay, there we have got D and E. Okay, then we have obviously got G and F as well, and we have got a point C. So we're going to measure 30, and then in that 30-point measurement, we will have our point C. So just neatly draw that in over there, and then we will have our point C. Okay, so we should have all of the measurements and lines drawn in. I just want to check with the camera quickly to see that you guys can actually see the FG line, because I know I drew it really light. It does look a little light on my side, so I'm going to just quickly make it a little bit darker so that you guys can obviously see what I'm working at. Okay, we have obviously got the next point, which will be the next point. What am I saying? We've obviously got the next thing we've got to do, which will be drawing in our sections for these circles. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our circle sectioned. Okay, so let's do our circle sections quickly. And then there should be another one here. And here. Okay, so we've obviously got now our circle sections. Okay, so it should look like this so far. All right, so now we know that we have got point O and point D as a fixed point. So these points do not move, is basically what that means, which also means that we've got, what have we got as well? Sliding rod AB is pin jointed at A, AB is pin jointed at A. So that means wherever this moves here, AB moves with it. Okay, so if it moves here, this is going to move with it, wherever it goes. And then we have obviously got guide B slides in groove FG. So guide B will slide between these lines here. And then we have got rod DE is pin jointed at D. So that means it's pinpointed here. So wherever that moves, it moves with it. Then we have got the next point, rod DE slides through guide B. Okay, so it goes through there. And then we have got as crank OA rotates, guide B slides back and forth in groove FG, causing rod DE to oscillate. Okay, so let's get started. First things first is we've obviously got the first point of our drawing over here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the length of AB, just like this over here, onto the next point, which will be this point here, and you're going to want to draw it on that line. Okay. From there, you will obviously have a line going through to that point. Just like this over here. Now, keep in mind, we have to trace the loci generated by point C. So we've got this point so far and point E. So keep that in mind. That's two things that we've got to generate. So from here, we've got a measurement of 30 that we're going to put on this line. And we're going to name it C1. This is just so that you don't obviously lose your measurements. Now we're obviously going to do the same thing with DE, because we know DE has a certain length as well. So we're going to grab that length over there. Just like this. We know D does not move. It is a fixed point. So you're obviously going to bring that line down as well, which does not make sense to me. What does it make sense? Sorry guys, let me just give this a think quickly, because I think I'm being a bit silly. It's not looking right to me and I want to make sure I can explain it nicely to you. Okay, so exactly what I thought I was doing is I was being very silly, and that is why I wanted to make 100% sure. Obviously DE connects at point B, this would be the new point B, so I don't know why I was overthinking that. From there, you'll take your length, your line, and you'll have your points E1. Okay. So my apologies for that. I did not mean to throw anyone off. I was just not thinking clearly. Okay. So there we've got that over there. Try keep these lines as light as possible so that as you work, you can obviously, one, keep your work neat, B, so that you can actually see the locus generated, or the loci generated once we draw it in. So we're going to keep it as neat and light as possible. Okay, so I'm going to take this point here, I'm going to put it on that line. You can see it ends. Oh, this is the wrong measurement. But, you know, sometimes I wonder about myself. This is why it's important to focus on the task at hand. Okay, you're going to take the full length of AB onto this new point here. It should not land up at the back there. From there, you are going to draw in that length, just like this over here. Okay, from there, you're going to have DE going through, and then you will obviously grab the DE length, like that, on that line, which thankfully for me, that point that I drew wrong first becomes the E2. Okay, then we have to measure 30 so that we obviously don't forget our next C point. So that 30 will be here, which will be C2. Okay. Now let's hopefully make sure my brain keeps working throughout this whole process. So we're again going to grab the length of AB, just like this over here. We're going to put it onto the next point. We're going to trace it or draw it onto the FG line. We're going to, from that point, draw our line in like that. We are going to then take DE straight down like that. We can measure 30, which will give us the C3 point, and then we're going to grab the length of DE and put it onto our new point, which will be E3 over here. Okay, now I know it's a bit tedious changing the length on your compass the whole time, so what I'm going to do for the next few is just keep the measurements and then change it all in one go. If this confuses you, obviously don't do it, but if you think this is going to save you time, which it probably will because you won't have to keep adjusting your compass, then that's something you can do. So from this point here, we are going to do the next line, which you can obviously see is this line over here, and I'm going to draw that line in over there. Okay, so it should end there. Then you can measure 30, and then we've got C4. Okay, I know we have yet to draw the line going through, but I will do that in a second. We are going to do the next line quickly, just so that I have my measurements. That will be the next line there. Okay, drawing too many I think will get confusing, so we're not going to do that. First, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our compass, and we're going to take the length of DE now. Okay, then we're going to take this line here, which ends at this point here. We're going to take that from the D point down. And then we're going to take our DE length and draw a point. These points seem to be fairly on top of each other. Okay, so that's E1, E2, E3. E4 seems to be right in the same place. Okay, then we've got our next line, which will be this line over here. We can measure 30, which will give us C5, and then from there we'll obviously draw a line going through from D out over there, and then we'll have our DE line from that point, which will be here at E5, which again seems to be more or less in the same spot. Okay, then we're going to do the length of AB again. Okay, so there we've got a point there. We're going to put that over there. Going to have that going all the way through that point there. Okay, bring from D down through that point there, and we can measure 30, which gives us C6. Okay, and then we can take our DE measurement. And here we will have E6. Okay, and then we're going to do that all the way through the rest. So I am going to do it with you guys, but just so that you know, it's basically a repeating pattern. So if you feel like you've got the hang of this now and you don't need me to do all of this with you, you can skip ahead if you'd like, because it's going to be pretty much a repeating process. So from here, that will end straight at this point here, which obviously means that we will have our E7 point here, because it ends right at the end there. And if we measure 30 from this point here, see my whole line didn't draw through quite nicely. I have to touch that up. We will do the 30, and that will give us our C7 point. Okay, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more to do. Okay, so it is getting a little bit tricky now to see all of the points. So here it would be advisable for you to maybe do one by one if you find you might get confused. Okay. I'm just doing all of them, the lines here, so I can keep track of them. Then we've got the fourth one here. It's 4 points. Okay. So that is my first, second, third, and fourth point. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this, that you don't forget your points. So we've got, see what I mean? This point's now 1, 2, 3, 4. Already throwing me off. I've just done it. Okay, so there we've got one line there. Obviously, we're going to measure points 30, our 30 points. That will give us C8, and then we'll have our point going through there. And then I'm going to leave it for now and do that at the end. Actually, I can do it now because I've already done all of my measurements. Sorry guys, my brain is not at optimum functioning today apparently. Okay, that will be E8. Okay, then we have got obviously the next point. So we've got this one here, which will be the second line that I've marked. So that one there. We're obviously going to measure our 30 points. So that gives us C9. And then through that point, we will have, oopsie, our C9 over here. Okay, then we're going to basically repeat the process. So now I've got this point here, my second last point, which is this point here. Okay, we're going to measure 30, which will give me C10. I'll obviously have my DE line going through there, and my compass mark actually extends through both. So this one will be C10, just makes it easier for me. E10, not C10, sorry guys. And then we've got the last one, which will be this one here, at this point here. So we'll then do our mark of 30. That will be C11. Then we draw that line through first. Again, I'm going to just reuse the point there because my marker goes right through it, and we have E11. Okay, it's a little bit tricky to see all of it, so hopefully you can see it better on your board if you're following through and doing it with me at the same time. And now what we're going to do is we're going to trace the Loci generated. So in neat freehand, or if you've got French curves, you can use those. We are neatly going to draw all of our points together. Okay, so this is the Loci of C that we're currently drawing in, so we're just going to follow all of our dots. Okay, all the way back to C, you should have an oval shape. Okay, and then here, because it's basically swinging back and forth, you should just have a swinging sort of shape. So I'm going to neatly draw that in like that. Okay, don't go over it twice because it will make it messy, so make sure you maintain your line weight the whole time. Okay, so once you've done that, that is your drawing done for your Loci mechanism. So I hope this helped you if you struggle with Loci mechanisms. Yeah, good luck guys.